Hello and welcome to the Temple Mount podcast. My name is Shogun. Today we are beginning in proper our Dungeons and Dragons session with beautiful Dude Missile as our storyteller dungeon master. Without further ado, you can find this on the YouTube and BitChute channel, Temple Mount Podcast Official. That being said, Dude Missile, thank you for agreeing to DM. I look forward to playing. We all have our characters made. How shall we begin?
Oh, okay. So I would like just so we can sort of establish a starting scenario here. I have something in mind. But if you guys would just like to take a turn each and describe a sort of short summary of what we did last game, that would be good.
Well, I'll start. I believe I only did sort of a fragment of a scene, but I believe I found myself in an inn without any silver, and I tried to get a room, but I didn't have any money. So I found a drunk guy who was gambling, and I did a little ninja throw of a clay pot into a wall to create a distraction, and then used my agility to palm some of his money off the table so that I would have some money. Pretty much what I remember from my session.
Yep. I mean, you fought some goblins. You met like a
That's right, I
survivalist out in the
also
woods
killed
too.
some goblins. Yeah, I did a
Y-
cool maneuver where I jumped up really high and then I killed a goblin. Yeah, that was cool.
That was on your way to the town.
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
forgot about
egg
that.
based.
Yep. So in the last session, I left my home in the Silver Tower, teleported through the Immaterium, was accosted by a chaos being, and then landed somewhere outside of a village and navigated by starlight, ate some poisonous plants, got to the village, and went towards one of the two larger buildings after consulting a guard, registered with the Adventurers Guild, um, accepted a quest to retrieve like a piece of arcane technology or a seer stone for a local wizard who had misplaced it while spelunking. And then I took a short rest and ate.
Right. Okay, so it is now the morning after that it is the morning after you two found yourself in the village. Now, how we're going to do this is you should see on the dice roller, you should see at the bottom the sort of if you go left to right and then down, the last one has like a number next to it and it should say 100. So both of you roll a D100.
In which channel? Dice Roll Bot or what's this
Yeah.
channel?
Dice roll bot. So the dice roll thing we're all logged into, where you're Hanzo. That thing.
Oh, right, with the colored, all the crazy things. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I roll what? Triangles?
You the one that says 100, just roll one of those.
One roll. I'm gonna share my screen just for the, you know, so everybody can see. So,
Yeah, yeah, roll that.
it said I
Okay.
rolled 36.
Yeah, so we're gonna start with Hasafet. I think
Greeting.
you had said that you didn't really sleep. You just sort of stood in your bedroom. Uh, is that correct?
Yeah, so not really, resting, but sort of, like it's not like I have to lie down and pass out. Took a
Yeah.
rest, took a short
Okay.
Where?
rest.
So, you sometimes a considerable amount of time has passed as you've sort of, for lack of a better word, meditated in your sort of room at the guild, and you can see out the window that it is now morning time. Uh, Not like early morning, but you've got a sort of you've got a few hours before noon, and yeah, what do you do?
All right, so my first priority is to get the hell out of this stinky building full of humans. So I'm going to immediately uh, just kind of push past everybody. I think before I go, I'm going to eat a little something because they're probably still have some kind of like breakfast thing going on. So I'm going to just, walk over again and just kind of accost the buffet there and then turn and leave. And I'm going to consult the quest sheet and just kind of look down at the job posting that I had snatched off the board and see what it says.
Okay, so there's not a lot today. You're sort of this area you're in is sort of like, to use game terms, you're in like Goblin Zone. You're in like low level, questing zone, right? So the most
Right.
relevant thing is like someone's looking for some like wolf pelts, and they're offering 50
No, no,
silver.
no. I got you. So I already pulled the job posting off the board to go and get the seer stone for the wizard. So
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
looking at it to see, like, if there's a location or directions or anything
Oh,
to
I
like get me
see.
headed in the
Uh,
right way. Like I'm
yeah.
reading the actual posting that I pulled off to go and do the thing for the wizard.
Right. So the posting says that he will be sort of resting at the tavern for anyone who's willing to take the contract.
Okay. So having taken the posting, and I presume by that you mean like that he's waiting there for someone to go and ask him for instructions on how to fulfill this contract, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I presume I don't know where the tavern is, so I'm going to stop off and ask another city guard where the tavern is and follow his directions and
Okay,
walk in through said tavern.
so when you ask him the directions, he just sort of points out there's sort of two really big buildings in this village. The one of them is the guild building, and the other one is smaller, but it's still bigger than everything else in the town, and that's like the tavern. Um and he just sort of points at the sort of other big landmark in this village, and he says that's where you
Oh,
gotta go.
okay. Yes, I'll recall from having spoken to a city guard upon first arriving that there were two large buildings. And so this city guard points to the other one, and I just go there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you find yourself in the you find yourself sort of in right in front of the building. You're sort of you're maybe 10 meters in front of the building. And Shogun, you're sleeping outside the tavern, right? Like that's where you last left off.
Well, I don't know if I specified what happened after I sold the silver and left, but in any case, I've been either walking or standing in the village outside the tavern, I suppose.
Okay. So when Hasafet is sort of looking at this building, he sees you. What does he see?
Well, he sees a character who is wearing heavy, thick black hemp or cloth robes underneath a full set of samurai armor with a face mask, traditional samurai, armor. Standing still, perhaps uncommonly still, in front of, 6'4", lean, but yeah, that's what you see. And you can use my PFP as a visual reference point if you want.
Right. So yeah, it's open for either of you to act here. What do either of you
So
do?
what do I see when Egg-based or Hasafet approaches? What do I see? What does he look like?
So,
My
um,
armor will be considered to be this sort of dark shade of purple, since that's what it appears to be. But
okay. So I sort of just open the door and just walk a few feet inside and close it behind me,
Mhm.
kind of take in the surroundings. But I'm standing taller than most everybody in the room by about a foot or 6 inches or something like that. And I'm head to toe in like this uh, sort of dark blue robe with lots of like gold colored trim, some of which is gold. And I've got on my left breast lapel there sort of eye symbol, and that eye has sort of like a yin yang as the pupil.
Mm.
And I'm just kind of like you imagine my appearance, right? Like I've got just these solid, like teal, sort of glowing esque eyes. And I look like completely different to everybody here, right? So I'm like just kind of like this pale blue complexion that's like slightly, ethereal or whatever.
Wait, so your skin is blue?
No, you're talking about like not bright blue, but like like a completely pale, but it's got like kind of a blue thing going on.
Blue tinge of sorts.
Yeah, yeah,
So
blue
this is
tinge.
certainly an unusual looking person. Bluish skin. They're wearing, blue and gold robes. So, but one thing I'm unclear
100%.
about here is I'm standing still outside the bar. Are you inside the bar, or are you approaching the bar? If it is a
So
bar. And
I've now entered the tavern. Did we encounter each other outside of the tavern, dude
well,
Missile? Was
my
that the premise?
understanding was that you saw me standing outside the building that you were approaching, which would mean that you would have passed me in order to get into the tavern.
Yeah,
If my
When
so
recollection is
we'll
correct.
just cut the part out of the middle where I said that I had like, opened the door and stepped in and closed it behind me, and we'll just go
Right,
straight
right,
to the
right.
part where I was describing myself and having
Well,
seen you and you having seen me.
sure. Okay. So regardless, I make no response as this interesting character walks past. I just remain stationary and allow him to enter the bar, and then I wait for a few moments before nonchalantly following and then finding like a corner of the bar in which to stand unobtrusively and observe what's going on.
So as you two enter the bar, it's clearly sort of a morning after scene. Uh, the messes, the sort of messes that have been made in the night, have all been cleaned up, and there's really no one around other than sort of tavern staff. Uh, you see the sort of the woman who seems to be the manager of the bar, and she's doing some like sweeping and general tidying of the surroundings.
Okay, so there's
All
really
right.
not many people here right now.
Yeah.
You said there's some kind of board that has job notices posted on it.
The one in the tavern is specifically like a bounty board, whereas the one egg base looked at had both bounties and general
So
jobs.
am I in the tavern now?
Didn't you said you were, weren't you? You went and
Well,
found a
that's
like a
my understanding, but so
yeah.
that means there's a bounty board here.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to
Yeah.
inspect it and look for any bounties that I might perhaps find use for later.
Okay, so you see one labeled Dryneck, the bandit leader Dryneck. And the sort of offering is 500 silver for anyone who can bring his head. Uh, the there's a sort of blurb below it giving some additional details, basically describing that Dryneck is a leader of a bandit clan that sort of is kind of the sort of most powerful group of bandits in this particular area you find yourself in. Uh, he has an encampment that is given some locational information. And that's all that's really there.
I see. I will take this into account and try to retain it. I should grab my notebook and perhaps hopefully make some notes with a pen and paper. But for now, I would like you to also turn and examine this strange character who appears to be tall and have a blue tinge to his skin and unusually ornate clothing. Can I do some kind of perception check or something to try and deduce some information about him by visually studying him?
Yes, but we're gonna mediate that by saying egg based. You're gonna be the sort of determiner of this role here. So Shogun, because we're talking about like what can he perceive from you, and so it's up. He's gonna roll, and then you're gonna say,
Like I had
"Well,
noticed that this character is some unusual. I haven't seen someone like this before, so I'm trying to assess him as deeply as possible just to see if I get any clues about what's going
I,
on with this guy.
yeah. Are you okay with that egg based? You okay with sort of answering this role? I can do it if you don't want to.
No, I mean I totally can. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Shogun, I would say roll your perception
I gotta
against
open my hold on a sec. I gotta open my character sheet. Pardon me. Okay. My character sheet, my perception is going to be sitting at, well, that's not a stat, is it? That's a skill.
Yeah. So what does it say for that skill?
I have 2 green diamonds.
Okay, roll 2 green diamonds against 2 purples.
Okay. Roll. Hansa rolled 2 green triangles and 2 purple triangles.
Don't worry about the faces on the die. Just look at
It's
what's below them.
the X and the.
That's called advantage.
Okay.
Okay, so failure and advantage, is that what that means?
Yes.
hmm
So how can I have a failure and an advantage?
Because an advantage is in opposition to a threat, whereas a failure is in opposition to a success.
Okay. So I deduce from this what? I can't really deduce anything from studying
So,
him visually.
Dude Missile, is that? Are you going to say something about that, or am I?
I will say that you can't seem to place where he is from. You can't seem to really understand what he is. You do sort of get the vibe that there's sort of a magical kind of air about him. And
And
that's all.
I would just suggest, perhaps, that the advantage also counts for me being completely oblivious to the fact that he's been like sizing me up.
But would you be? Because there's not really anyone else here, so you'd probably notice the like samurai dude looking at you.
Well,
Like,
let me wait, hang on. What Shogun said was, I'm gonna study this guy. What he didn't say was, I'm gonna try to study this guy subtly. Right?
I didn't actually. At first, I thought it was a crowded bar, but once I realized it was
Oh,
empty, I basically just turned and like stared at him.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so I guess like he and I are canonically right. It's not like I'm just going to freeze and he's going to do his thing and then I'm going to unfreeze and do my thing.
Right.
So like from my perspective, he and I have entered almost simultaneously. He's gone over to this job board, picked a or assessed the job board, and then turned to sort of figure out something about me. Right.
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 Right. So meanwhile, I'm in here for my own purposes, which I presume I'm going to disclose rather immediately. But I
Yes.
don't actually. I think if he rolled advantage on it, then I'm like unaware of the fact that this. I still think that samurai's over there checking out the job board. I really don't.
Right.
We can also
Yeah.
say I did it surreptitiously. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. So what are you doing at the moment, Asofet?
Yeah. All right. So Hasaphet. Right. So currently, I've just entered this bar, and I have heard tell from this piece of paper in my hand that apparently there is a wizard here who is offering me this quest. So I'm going to approach the uh, proprietor of the establishment, who is currently sweeping the floor, and I'm going to just, what's the word? Just innocuously tap her on the shoulder to get her attention.
Just, oh yeah, you need something?
I'm going to say yes, and I hang this piece of paper in front of her face and say, I heard this man is here and is offering employment. Where is he?
Yeah, give me a minute, hun. I'll go get him right now. And then
Thank you.
she sort of leans her broom up against the one of the tables, and she sort of walks to the bar, the sort of counter, and past it and up like the staircase into the inn rooms. And after a sort of a few minutes, presumably waking up the patron, uh, she comes back down alone, and she says, "Just give him a minute. He'll be down. He's just sort of waking up." And after a few additional moments, you see sort of a robed figure with a very sort of weathered face um, walk down the bar, and he sort of looks at the woman, and she points out to you, and he approaches you, and he says, "You looking for work?"
So is he old?
He's like, I would say he's in human terms of age, he's like 60. So he's not like senile or struggling to get up the stairs, but he's old.
All right. So the only reason I was asking is how to address him, but I'm going to say, well, I'm terribly sorry to disturb you, but I found this posting and I'm interested in recovering your object.
And he says, "Ah, great. You how old does your character look exactly? Like I know he's old as shit, but
Um,
how old does he
so
look?
I would say that it's like indeterminate. I would say like he probably looks about 40, but you really couldn't tell, right? Because there's no like discernible. It's not like I'm all wrinkly or not wrinkly, you know.
Okay.
So,
So
but
he,
yeah,
he says like
probably look about like 40, like a grown adult man. Yeah.
right, okay. So he says like I'm a bit too old for the whole spelunking affair, so it would be much appreciated and well compensated if you could find this object for me. It's quite important to my work.
Fear not, sir. I would be happy to assist you. Um, I simply am seeking some local currency.
And he says,
So
"Yes. So the cave is about 20 miles west. Should be able to get there and back within a day. There's there's no uh there's no there's no human element in this cave. Bandits haven't set up there, but there is a notable wildlife that can be quite a predicament. So I would suggest you keep your wits about you.
understood, sir. I shall proceed with caution. Are these wildlife the one who accosted you prior to your misplacing your object?
Yes, a wolf accosted me, and I didn't. I realized I didn't have time to uh sort of get together all my things. I had to make a break for it, and in that break, I dropped my device.
Your misfortune, though hilarious, is understandable. I shall return post haste.
And he sort of as he's watching you like leave, he sort of does that like one raised eyebrow thing, like like who's this kid? What's he doing?
All right.
What, uh,
So, for the record, I'm going to then turn sharply and exit the tavern, but I'm going to stand like just off to the right on the path, like right outside the tavern door, and wait very patiently.
what are you waiting for?
Does it matter?
Okay. Oh yeah, Shogun, do you want to
Oh.
do anything?
Yeah. So first of all, is the old wizard still here?
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to ask the wizard. I'll say I'm a foreigner traveling in your lands, and are there any cities, settlements, or other places of civilization near here, or what is the closest adjacent settlement to this
And
place?
he says to you, well, sir, most of the settlements around this, the immediate locale, are all small settlements, villages, and medium-sized towns. If you're looking for the big city, that would be a four day travel to the north.
Okay. And does that city have a name that I might inquire about on my way so I don't get lost?
The city is known as Alveria.
Alveria, 4 days to the north. I thank him, and then I turn and say, I don't say farewell, but I turn and I exit, intending to follow the strange-looking person in the blue and gold robes who left.
Well, he is standing. You see him standing on the
Hmm.
right of the path.
Yeah. So, is it my turn?
Yeah. There's no turns here. It's like whoever really wants to
Oh,
go.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, first off, the cave was 20 miles away, but you said south? Did you say south?
I think I said west.
20 miles west. Okay. Um, so I'd like to roll upon seeing this samurai exit. I'd like to do like a lore check to see if I can like recognize any of the like weapons or armor that he's carrying because I really I'm fairly certain just intuitively that they're not from around here.
So we'll call that purple 3. So go ahead and roll.
Okay, so that's 3. It keeps zooming the fuck in. All right, so I rolled and got a success and an advantage.
Okay, yeah. So, you sort of vaguely recognize that he is Shogun. Do you have a name for your country or anything about it? Like,
Yeah, I'm from Rokugawa, which is an island nation, which has fairly limited contact with the part of the world that we're in now. I've traveled
right.
far to be here, so someone from my culture would perhaps not be totally unheard of, but would mostly be just sort of like a legend. Most people wouldn't have met anyone from that place.
So the success is going to be that you recognize that he is from this obscure nation of Rokugawa. The advantage is going to be that you have an understanding that this is not a nation that generally uh interacts much in any significant way with the part of the world that you are in. So
Well,
he is
or
this
at least it's unusual to see a traveler from
right,
so
right.
far east in this
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
Right. So
Um,
upon having
sorry, I just wanted
what?
to ask, what was the name of the city again? I'm putting these notes in the chat.
Alvaria,
Alvaria, 4 days.
Alveria. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so upon having run this lore check and recognized that I'm staring at a Rokugawan warrior, I'm going to turn and face him and say, "What brings a warrior from Rokugawa to this strange place?" Without introducing myself or anything. I'm just going to ask him that question.
So I gaze silently back at this character, this person who has asked me this question for a period of about 30 seconds, perfectly still. And then I say, I am following the dictates, and I kind of pause and say, of my fate. And then I kind of assess him from head to foot and say, in my country, we have what are called shugenja, those who can twist the winds of magic. And then I kind of pause and say, you are one such?
Um, what's the name? Shujinja?
I say shugenja. I pause, I say shugenja, and then I clarify one who can twist the winds of magic is how I describe it. But
Right. Okay. So you're familiar with the idea of there being casters. So um, I suppose you could class me as one of those.
I nod.
Um, right. So you can get that.
So
Are you also here seeking employment? I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying, but yeah, I'm going to ask you if you're looking for a job here as well.
I nod slowly and say that as I travel, I will accept any jobs or missions that happen to correspond with my journeys. And furthermore, uh, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, but I'm inclined to accompany you on your journey. Yeah.
And it's tough doing like dialogue on the fly, but
Well, we'll get into it.
yeah, we'll get better at it. Um, so I'm going to, uh, I suppose, present this piece of paper that is the job posting and say that um, uh, ragged wizard had directed me towards a cave in which he's left an object that he has tasked me to recover. And
And
it is 20 miles west of here.
and Shogun, as you sort of look at this contract that uh Hasafet is sort of presenting to you, the description of the object is that it's basically like a crystal, and you sort of hold an object behind it, and then you shine a light through the front of it, and then sort of on the other side of the object, it creates like an interference pattern that's sort of without getting into sort of Star Trek speak, like what it does is it sort of shows you like sort of magical genetics, so to speak, of whatever object you're looking at. The sort of the arcane elements of an object, basically.
Okay. I take this in and I introduce myself as Hanzo and hold my hand out in a gesture of greeting to
And
this person.
as you guys are sort of chatting, you hear, "Oi, boss!" And you see from behind you in the inn, um, you see this the sort of dwarf that you had hired to bodyguard you, and he sort of runs out of the inn and approaches you at sort of a quick pace, and he says, "We going out to work yet?"
Shogun, you hired a dwarf?
No, I did not hire a dwarf
Yes,
as far
yes,
as
you did. You
I,
did.
I did that yesterday.
So you like went into the inn and you
Mm.
sort of you sort of asked me like, do I see anyone who looks like they're sort of they're sort of a warrior or an adventurer of sorts, and then I told you that you saw a table where there was like a sort of mage woman and sort of a sort of floofy haired, long haired like human, and there was a dwarf at the table, and you paid the dwarf all your 16 um
Okay,
silver to hire the
I
dwarf as
see.
a bodyguard.
All right.
Do you not remember this?
I honestly don't. But
Okay.
Oh,
that's
it
okay.
was so you bought drinks. I was kind of here for this, so like you sort of won them over and bought drinks, and I think that was sort of like you engaging their services or something. But so I'm going to completely ignore the dwarf, and I presume that in your steadfast patience, you're just going to focus on continuing to give me this gesture of goodwill. I'm going to introduce myself as Hasafet and return your gesture with the hand.
All right. So we shake hands, and I say, "Good to meet you, Hasafet. My name is Hanzo," and I offer or specify that I myself am a bodyguard by training and am willing to accompany you on your quest with no expectation of financial remuneration, based on the idea that perhaps at some point in the future you may or may not be able to assist me with an issue that I'm having, or return the favor in some way. And I ask if that would be agreeable to you.
So I'm going to nod, like give you an actual affirmative nod instead of a slight nod or something. I appreciate your offer of assistance and defense. Would it be possible for me to assist you in a task that you have accepted as well?
Well, I have also taken a bounty contract from the wall in the tavern. And actually, if you could remind me, I'm making some notes here. Can you remind me of the details of that?
So I will say when Hanzo explains this to Hasafet, I don't know what I called him in the previous one, but we're gonna go with Trineck. The contract Hanzo is talking about is the same one that
That I'm on?
the same one that so Hasafet was joined the Adventurers Guild
Oh,
as a
okay, yeah.
member.
I was
Yeah,
going to ask that. So,
yeah.
Shogun, when I was
So
in the Adventurers Guild, there
Hmm.
was this man who greeted me when I went up to the sort of dining room table or whatever,
Okay.
and he introduced himself, and I was sort of asking him about employment. He informed me that he had a small war band that was looking to address the very same bounty posting that you've now taken.
I see. But that's different than your quest, which is to recover some kind of crystal for some kind of wizard.
Right. My quest is to go and get the crystal thing for the wizard.
And
But
do
the
we know the
quest that
wizard's
you
name?
have, well, I just met him in the inn, but I don't. What is
in
his
the
name?
guild. Uh,
No,
I
the
I
wizard that I just met in the inn,
Oh,
not the
hang
dude
on.
that I met in the
I
guild.
didn't name him. I didn't name him yet. Okay, Wizard. Alamir. His name is
Alamir.
Alamir.
I'm making notes in the Genesis game chat just for my own reference, but that might be useful to others as well.
I'm doing them on my notebook here. Um, so Hanzo and the Adventurers Guild guy both seeking Dryneck. Is it Dryneck or Trineck? Dryneck?
Dry neck. Yeah.
Seeking Dryneck.
Which I will say you don't need to roll anything for this. I'll say you get the vibe that this is not his like legal name. This is like his bandit
Yeah,
his
that's the
bandit title.
bandit leader's name.
Yeah.
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 So it's 500 silver for the head of Dryneck, right?
Yes.
500 silver.
Okay. So I'm going to, now that I've told you about it out of character,
Mhm.
I'm just, without trying to phrase it in all sorts of grumbly dialogue, I'm just going to relay to you that I'm going to point to the sigil that I've stitched to my robe here
Mhm.
and say that this was the mark of affiliation to the local adventurers guild. I'm going to point over to the other large building and say that there was an individual, a man who introduced himself to me and said that he too was seeking that same bounty.
I see. So there may be other people attempting the same job that we may be competing with.
Well, so then I'm going to look at you sort of coyly and say, well, you could view them as competition, or perhaps we could join them.
Indeed. And it would appear that we also have a dwarven mercenary here at our disposal as well, at least for the time being. So perhaps we are prepared to set out for the cave. See if
So,
we can recover for this wizard his gemstone, in return for which perhaps either you or he could provide some arcane assistance to me in the future.
so I nod and then I'm going to pause. Dude Missile, two
Mm-hmm.
questions. The first is, did the dude at the guild in any way let on how many members he had in his little war band there?
I would say I don't think he specifically stated, but I will say that from your sort of inherent intuition that we don't need to roll for, it's pretty small scale stuff. It's like we're talking like
Yeah.
4 people maybe.
So like maybe he pointed to a couple people in the bar and I can pick up
Yeah.
that it's not like a huge army or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's not like a big war band. It's just like this
all
guy
right.
and his buddies at the guild are gonna take this contract.
And the second question is, since we know there are other people seeking this bounty, does that make it more time sensitive than the wizard thing?
Um, we're this is sort of like introductory adventures, so I'm gonna say no. In future situations, if you get into this type of situation, it would be sort of a yes, and I would adjudicate that. But for now, you can just assume that however long you guys take to get to the bandit camp is gonna be roughly the same time they're gonna get there. Just because this is sort of the tutorial
Well,
game, right?
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
but
So I'm going to
nevertheless,
turn.
go ahead.
So
Sorry.
the last thing you said, Hanzo, was that there were other people seeking the bounty, competition, whatever. I nodded to you and then paused and went to the. But so it's you, me, and this dwarf, right?
Right.
I'm going
And
to
I have,
say, oh,
yeah, I'm sorry. Is the warband that you're discussing still here in the village, or are they gone already?
so they're at the Adventurers Guild, and I presume, right, that we could just go up and speak to them, Dude Missile, right? Like,
Yeah,
or
they
should
yeah.
rather instead of saying that, why don't we instead just walk over, a few blocks over in town, and so I suggest to you that because these people are also seeking the bounty, we should attempt to either speak to them from a position of interest in joining them, or to ascertain how far along they are in said quest and try and gain some intel. So either
That
way, I think we
sounds like
should
a
head
good
over to this
plan.
adventurers guild.
But as an alternative idea that just came to mind, what if we take the dwarf that presumably works for me? We give him some false intel and tell him that we have heard that the mercenary Dryneck or the criminal Dryneck has been sighted or has moved to some other location. We send him to give them that false information, and then we head for where we think Dryneck actually is, in hopes that we can get the bounty before they do. What do you think of that idea? I'm down for either one, but that's what came to my
Well,
mind.
so Dude Missile's given us a miracle exception here, wherein we could go and retrieve the crystal, and then if we went to the bandit camp, the other guys would be there around the same time. So
Right.
I think we may well end up competing with them either way, and I think the um, utility of your dwarven bodyguard may well be in combat instead of deception.
It's probably true.
I have him.
Do
I
that.
would just like to like I'm not generally the GM fiat is the thing I'm going to keep up, but every now and again when I feel it's relevant and helpful to the flow of the game, I will let you know some sort of behind the GM wall things. I have Grognar statted out, and he is strong and he's got willpower, but he is very dumb.
He's very dumb,
But
so we could
he's fully
use him as
statted out.
a useful idiot and actually trick him into thinking that we have this information rather than bringing him on as an intentional actor. We could just lie to him and have him do this. But regardless,
You could also use him as hired muscle because he
right,
is
which
strong.
may be
Yeah.
more useful.
So I think if this, I'm going to communicate to you, Hanzo, that I believe that these individuals at the Adventurers Guild already have a party together, and that if we are going to either compete with them or attempt to engage with this bounty ourselves, we should have all of the help we can get in combat that is to ensue.
Very well.
And
So let's
recommend that we should keep the dwarf in tow and make way immediately for the whatever cavern this is that has the crystal in it.
Okay, that sounds good. Do we remember the dwarf's name? The bounty.
I
Uh,
have some
Sure.
various names noted down here. I don't remember who is who. I know Gnalar is the survivalist you met, Shogun. Alamir is the wizard. I don't remember who Randolph is, but the dwarf's name is Ragnar.
Ragnar.
Sorry, Grognar.
Grog.
Grognar.
And he works for me. Is that the case?
You paid him 16 silver. You paid him all the silver you stole just sort of you gave him a
As a bodyguard. Okay.
yeah. He
So
agreed to
he's
do that.
dumb enough that you bought like his undying fucking loyalty or something. Right?
Well,
Well,
okay.
he's low enough. It's more like he's low enough level that like 16 silver is like a reasonable amount of money for the amount of work he usually does. Because again, you guys are in Goblin County. You guys are not in like Smog Dragon with a cave full of treasure land.
Well, and we can say that even though if I hadn't specified this, I only need him to be my guide and bodyguard until I get to the city that's 4 days to the north.
Yeah.
And, at that point, he's released from my service. Or at least this I'm willing to offer.
All right. So, Dude Missile, how much information are we allowed to disclose out of character? Like, would you rather we do everything like as dialogue in the game, or can I like strategize with Shogun instead of making it a conversation between?
I would say strategy is fine if you guys are in the same location. You don't need to do it in character. But let's say there's some let's say you guys are gonna do like some sort of plan on the bandit camp, and you guys are gonna go into separate groups, and maybe you are gonna like ambush. You're gonna like bum rush them, right? And so you're gonna come from the back.
Then we can't like communicate tactical information in the way that we couldn't.
I would personally
I
say
understand
that being in character as much as possible is always going to be best. So
I would agree with Shogun. I would just say that like if you can try and be in character, that's a good thing. Don't feel like you need to be like a class A voice actor, right? But it is helpful to get into the swing of like playing a character.
Understood.
Right?
I think we may have over addressed my question, because the only thing I was going to say to you, Shogun, is that the reason I want to go and sort out this crystal thing is because the reason I took it in the first place was to just try and put a little money in my pocket.
Mhm.
And I anticipate that this big bounty we're going to go after is going to be a far more significant undertaking.
And we have competition for it. I'm more than happy to go pursue the crystal. I'm more interested in perhaps, in character. I agree that we can pursue the crystal first. Perhaps we can let the bounty hunter group that's going to pursue Drynick do the hard work for us. Assuming Drynick has perhaps some companions or compatriots with him, maybe they'll kill each other and take care of the problem for us. If not, we'll be dealing with a weakened either side.
So I nod, perhaps. And then I turn to face west. I point and say, the cave is 20 miles this way. And I propose that we set off.
I nod, and I ask Gragnar to come along. Is it
Okay.
evening time, nighttime, daytime?
Yeah, it's like
About midday,
morning.
right?
It's morning. It's before midday. You got a couple hours before midday.
All right.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go just for a moment here. So take a quick intermission if you need to use the bathroom or anything. But I won't be long if you don't need to. So BRB.
Perhaps while he's gone and we are walking in the direction that you've indicated, um, I ask, from whence do you hail, Hasafet?
I hesitate for a moment. And I honestly say, I do not know how to describe it to you, but it is very, very far away.
I remain silent for a moment and say, there is an aspect about you which I have not seen before. Are you perhaps one of those touched by the gods?
Mm. I think the long pauses are probably going to be like, we're going to have to figure out how to do the dialogue. But you could say that I am touched by a god, but I believe my appearance to be a consequence of my knowledge.
And I will reply by saying, knowledge has many branches and many aspects. Of what do you have knowledge, Hasafet?
I have for so long sought and acquired knowledge of change. And then I'm just going to immediately switch and deflect and say, how did you manage to come here from Rokugawa?
My journey has been long, so long that it is difficult for me to remember precisely how many moons have risen and fallen since I set out from my homeland, and many, many travails I have encountered along the way. Nevertheless, I set out on a ship uh, from our homeland, uh, coming to the shores of this land, and ever since I have been searching for something, I suppose.
Do you know for what you are searching?
I nod and say only partially, for now, understanding.
Hello, I'm back.
Hi, we're having a dialogue. I'm just going to say, you mentioned that you have studied change. Um, do you believe that fate or destiny can be changed, or is it set in stone?
I believe that fate and destiny both have an architect, and that his will is subject to change.
I take this in thoughtfully and nod. Welcome back, Dude Missile.
Yeah, so Dude Missile, we're just doing a little background chat here, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, so are you guys ready to I think normally I would make some sort of survival check or at least get you to sort of consume some food, but you just ate and Hanzo doesn't have to eat. So, we can
He
assume
doesn't have
that
to eat?
Oh, sorry, was that a spoiler?
I mean, it's something that Hasifet probably wouldn't know at this point, but now he does, so that's fine.
Okay. Uh yeah, so you guys can just travel there. So you sort of the both of you find yourself at the sort of edge of this cave. It's on sort of on
Wait, so
the
hold on. Why do I have to eat and he doesn't?
Well, in storyline, you wouldn't have known that information yet.
Yeah.
Okay,
In the
okay.
future, you may find out. So just politely, in character, pretend you don't have that information. But
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
out of
Yeah,
character,
I didn't hear shit. Never mind.
I apologize for spoiling that, but
it's fine.
it was mechanically relevant.
We'll breeze over it, and
Yeah.
I'll
So
just
you
pretend
guys
I don't know in character.
you guys find yourself at the edge of this cave, and the cave is sort of in front of like a small stream, and there's some sort of there's sort of a forest around it, but it was relatively easy to find. And yeah, what do you do?
It's a forest around a cave.
And we're seeking an artifact. Do we have any idea what or kind of threat, or did someone steal this artifact? Is there a creature in here that has the artifact, or all we know it's that the artifact's in the cave?
So just background from what I got from the job posting. So I'm going to turn to you and describe what I've learned from the job posting and from the wizard. That he lost or dropped it while being threatened by the local wildlife that had taken up residence in the cave, and that it was lost somewhere in the cave for
Wildlife.
us to locate.
And we don't have any clarification. Or it was wolves. Wasn't it wolves
Yeah,
that are
the
in the
wizard
cave?
said wolves. The wizard said wolves.
All right. Well, I take this in, and I suggest one course of action is that I shall scout inside of the cave using my stealth abilities, and you can prepare to assist me if I run into trouble. And I don't know what your capabilities are right now, so I'm assuming that you are whatever, not whatever. I suggest that I can scout inside stealthily.
Before we get into this dungeon, I would just like to let you guys know that you guys have 2 story points and I have 1, just so you know.
Okay. Right. So my
You
suggestion
share
is
those.
that I will attempt to look around inside stealthily and then come back and tell you what I see, hopefully without alerting any potential threats.
So I'm just going to nod and let you do your thing.
All right.
Okay. So as you sort of look into this cave with the sort of opening of it illuminated by the sunlight, it actually appears to not be a man-made cave, or at least it seems to be a mine actually. So there's sort of a wooden sort of supports to keep the top of the cave open, and it's sort of sloped downwards into a darkness that you can't quite see into because the light only reaches so far.
So I'm going to attempt to stay in the shadows and move as silently as possible, keeping to the edge of the cave inwards. I have stealth of 3 and agility of 3, if that matters. And again, my goal is just to see if I can hear anything or see anything that will let me know what might be in here.
Okay. We don't need a roll for that. We can assume your stealth is good enough.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to, knowing that he's now gone a little bit deeper into the cave, I'm just going to kind of walk in behind him, knowing that he's progressed a little bit. And I'm just going to not silently because he's ahead of me, but I'm just going to very carefully, walk quietly to try and catch up with him in the cave here.
He's falling behind me.
Yeah. Okay, so the cave slopes down. Do you guys have any source of light you could use? Maybe.
Not in my inventory, no.
Yeah. So would this be like a utility spell if I was going to try and
Yes.
cast like some kind of innocuous,
You
like
don't
a
need. Like I said, if you're using a utility for sort of an innocuous thing, like say you're lighting a candle with magic, like you don't really need to roll for that. So yeah,
so
you can
I'm
create like a
gonna
little.
just
Also, I'd
I'm
indicate to Gragnar that he should stay back with Hasafet before I head off and keep him, protect him, whatever. Stay with him.
Okay.
so hold on. Have we all encountered like this pitch black sort of downslope? All 3 of us?
Yes, it's not like you'll fall down it. It's like it's like you can walk down it. It's not like that steep. But yeah, you've all seen it.
But it's like completely pitch black. Like none of us will be able to see anything down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just very calmly raise my hand and just create like a small sphere that looks like it's very well contained, but on the inside is burning like this gentle blue flame that's flickering, sort of a teal colored light. And then I'm just going to lower it down towards the ground and roll it down the slope.
So you're creating like a
which will
sphere of light, and
illuminate
you're
the
rolling it
passage.
down the. You're like creating a sphere, and
Yeah.
you're like rolling it down. Okay, yeah.
Just kind of gently rolling it down there just to see, to illuminate the passage.
Right. So as it sort of gets to the bottom, you can see that at the bottom of this slope, it sort of opens up a bit into a more open area. Whereas the sort of slope itself is like a tunnel.
Okay.
Right. So, having dimly illuminated the little opening in the cave, I'm going to allow Hanzo, if he wishes, to proceed stealthily and attempt to
Now
scan
that
ahead.
I can see that there is no apparent danger, at least so far as the magical light has illuminated, I'm just going to silently move up and to that opening and see if there's any other passages or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and indicate to. Well, is there any passages? Do I see anything once I get up there?
Once you get down into the
So
cave, so there
he
is.
rolled a magical ball of light, right? So I'm gonna.
Mhm.
What is the limit of what that has eliminated? I'm gonna go up as far
So
as the ball.
So as you get down to the ball, you sort of see a more open sort of almost like a ravine, like a more open area of the cave, whereas the entrance was sort of like a tunnel. And the more open area, there's like sort of a bridge that is a sort of artificial bridge that's been built across a gap in the sort of gap of this ravine. And it's made out of wood.
There's a wooden bridge across the ravine, eh? Uh, I'm gonna ask Ragnar the dwarf if he has a torch. Ragnar, my friend, do you have a torch by any chance in your backpack or bag?
Oh, he says, yeah, I got one. And he reaches into his bag. He says, "Well, you're gonna have to light it yourself." And he sort of hands it to you. He sort of
So
approaches you and hands it to you.
I'm just gonna silently reach over and tap on the torch, and it's going to light.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, torch is
So
on
my
fire.
passive light illuminates it, and I'm going to indicate by gesturing that Ragnar should cross the bridge first, just to make sure it's sturdy enough to hold what I assume is his. That he's the heaviest of us, perhaps. So he should fall if any of us ask to.
Right.
And also to see what's on the other side.
So you want him? Sorry, say that
Yeah,
again.
I'm saying, Ragnar, why don't you take your torch and go to the other side of that bridge just to make sure that it's not a trap or something? Since I paid you 16 silver,
he says.
unless
He
you have a
says.
problem with that.
Yeah. He says, "Yes, sir."
All
And
right.
he walks across the bridge, and it's quite sturdy. It's not like a step bridge. It's like a full solid wooden construction. So
I
there's
see.
no like, yeah,
It's not like a rickety
Yeah, like in a
yeah,
mine,
rope
it's like a wooden
and
platform. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Very well. And he doesn't see anything on the other side immediately.
No.
Very well.
Does
Well,
not have his
he
head
says
bitten off.
he says the cave seems to split off into multiple tunnels.
Very well. I will cross the bridge also and catch up with Ragnar.
So I'm just going to follow a few feet behind Hanzo because now we're, I think, just kind of walking together.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem to be any reason for us to be one in front of the other for any
Right.
tactical reasons.
We're staying together.
We're just going to walk up to the.
We're all staying together.
As
to the little fork in the cave. Yeah.
Hasafet, as you sort of cross this bridge, you sort of you can't quite see what it is, but you sort of bump into something on the ground. Like you sort of pick something with your feet as you're walking across the bridge. It falls into the ravine and sort of bounces off the sides of the ravine, making like a loud echo.
Okay, so I like kick a rock off the bridge or just
Yeah.
some innocuous thing that bounces around and makes a loud echo.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I'm just going to put my finger up indicating that we should all be silent for a moment
Oh, okay.
and just wait to see if any noise occurs in response to that echo.
Okay. Yeah, can we make a perception check here against
Okay.
3 purple? Both of you, you can do this.
All right. So we put purple to 3, and my perception is a skill, which is at. Well, I have 2 green diamonds, so I put 2 green diamonds against 3 purple to roll.
Yep.
So I got 1 star and 2. I don't know what to call it. Targets.
No, Hanzo, all your stuff canceled out, so I rolled a success and 2 threats.
Okay.
Okay. Right. You, Hasafet, you sort of become aware that there is a very subtle, almost like a panting. There's some sort of creature that is like panting, and it's you sort of like sweat a little bit, and yeah.
Is it?
So I've heard panting of wolves and become nervous.
Yes.
That's your assertion?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it now my turn?
No turns. Go until we get
Okay,
into
so-
initiative. It's whoever wants to act.
Gotcha. So having now discerned from the fact that there are wolves present and that we've lost the element of surprise, I'm now going to conjure up a much larger ball of light and adhere it to the wall of the cave, such that the immediate area around us is illuminated.
Okay. So as you do that, the sort of cave becomes illuminated, but you do not see any you do not see anything that you didn't already see. It's just that now you have like this solid light source. So if something happens, you'll be able to if something approaches you, you'll be able to see, and you don't have to worry
Gotcha.
about that. So
I yield to the samurai.
Well, I didn't hear the panting because I failed my perception check, but I assume that you've indicated to me that you've heard something. My question is, are we hearing the panting from the darkness of, because you said there was multiple tunnels, so is the panting coming from one of the multiple tunnels?
yes,
Okay, so
Okay,
which
can
one is
we-
it? Is there like a right, middle, and left tunnel, or
it's like a
like,
left and there's like a a
Alright.
right, middle, and left tunnel.
okay? And which one, from which do we hear the panting?
It's coming from the left.
we
Okay,
just
so,
know that it's coming from the left?
well, because you can
Well, you can hear it, yeah. Well,
So
you
you-
would have
So
heard it,
I-
Hesaphan.
So I would have heard it coming from the left. Okay.
Yeah.
right, and you could
So-
tell me that.
So I think, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to like wave, get your attention, and then point in the direction of the left passage and to
Okay.
indicate that that's where the noise was coming from.
I'm going to indicate that if the wolves do come, you have a choke point on the bridge, right, where they will have to come and into that narrow space. So you'll have an advantage fighting them there. So I'm going to suggest that you stay here with Gragnar and defend this bridge, and I'm going to try and see if I can possibly sneak up and get the drop on the wolves.
Okay.
Okay,
So I'm gonna remain on the bridge with the dwarf.
Okay, everyone, you guys roll cool.
Although I suppose being separate is inherently more dangerous, but there you go. We roll cool. Okay. My
Yes.
cool is, well, I have, yeah, two triangles.
Now, can someone tell me what the characteristic for cool is?
The characteristic for cool
Presence?
is presence.
Okay.
Mine being 2.
So you rolled. So did you roll yet? Don't
I
roll.
rolled a success.
What
no
difficulty?
No, this
No
is for
difficulty?
no difficulty for initiative.
Somehow I rolled a star and 2 triangles with only 2 dice. I'm not sure how that
Okay,
works.
so you're gonna go before the wolf. We just Hasafet, did you roll?
I rolled a success.
One
But
success.
he stayed behind though, and I went up ahead. So would he be?
So I stayed
rolling
on the
the same
bridge, but I
initiative?
rolled a success. So
Okay.
I think Hanzo's probably engaged when I'm not, right? Because he went up ahead.
Right. So, Hanzo goes first, and then this thing, and then you, Hasafet.
So to be clear, as I followed the tunnel where we heard the panting, I also encountered what, a wolf, many wolves. What do I?
It's you encounter two wolf-like creatures.
Wolf-like creatures. Are they
They're they're
vastly different
they're
than wolves?
they're more monstrous. This isn't like a
More
normal.
monstrous,
Yeah,
bigger, perhaps.
bigger. Yeah.
Is it like a dire
Very well.
wolf?
Uh, do you want to
I
make
mean,
like a lore
we
check
don't
here?
necessarily know, but these are
Yeah.
two more than wolves, dangerous wolves. Very well.
Yeah.
I shall draw my katana and hold it in two hands. Prepare myself for combat, and if I have the initiative advantage, I am going
Yep.
to attempt to execute a slash at the jugular vein or throat of the
So,
nearest wolf.
so just so we were all clear here, you get one action, you get one
Hmm.
maneuver, and you
Hmm.
get uh a sort of indeterminate amount of incidentals that depending on
Okay.
like so like an incidental would be like you call out to your friend or you do a
Sure.
signal. You get sort of a
Okay.
as many of those as would be reasonable, right? So you
Right.
get
So all
so
I
you're
want to do right now is draw my katana and attempt to execute a slash at the nearest wolf, aiming particularly at its throat.
okay. So the one that's closest is on your right. So let me just get my notes for it. I have to keep track of these HPs. Okay. Okay, yeah. So roll, like I said, unless otherwise stated, an attack roll is always your attack skill that you're using against two purples.
My attack skill would be light melee, which is
Yes.
two yellow and one green. Plus, I have 2 points in that from my rank. So I'm not sure how does that work. Does that give me 5 dice?
So the dice that it says next to the skill is pre-calculated. So whatever that says, that's what you're rolling, basically. So
The
the
dice.
reason you have those two
Next to
yellows
the
is
skill.
because you have those ranks in that skill and
So
the.
I'm gonna roll 2 yellows and one green. One green. So what's going on? Because I have 2 yellows and one green and light melee. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what it says?
I don't know. I have two. Like I don't understand. I honestly am very confused by the system. But in melee light, I have 2 yellow things and one green triangle. It's also a
Yes.
career
So that's
skill,
what you're
and I have a
rolling.
rank. And I have a rank of 2 in it.
So the reason you have the two yellow, it's a
Is
pre-calculated thing.
because of
Whatever.
the rank. The rank
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what's giving me the 2. So I'm rolling
yeah.
2 yellows and one green against the difficulty of what with purples.
It's always two for a normal attack roll. Two
Always
purples.
2. Okay.
Yeah.
So
We'll
hence I
give you.
rolled 3 starbursts or 3 stars of
Successes.
chaos or whatever you call them.
Oh,
Successes. Okay.
okay.
Three
So what's
successes.
the damage on your sword? Base damage.
My katana does damage 3 with a critical of 2.
Okay. So you do 6 damage. So you sort of
Okay.
cut into this thing, and it yells, it screeches, but
Okay.
it continues to
How, just out of curiosity, how can I do critical damage?
So you basically critical what so your sword your whatever weapon you're using will have a critical rating, and if
Hmm.
you get that many advantages, you can spend that on a crit, basically.
Okay.
Uh
So I do 6 damage to this wolf.
yeah.
Do we,
It looks
we would,
it looks pretty hurt. It looks pretty hurt, but it's
all right.
still got a lot of kick
Okay.
in it left.
And do I have anything left I can do in my turn? You said something about
You can move.
maneuvers or
Yeah,
something.
maneuver would be like some sort of would be like moving, like changing your position in the fight, and it would also
Uh,
be anything that would take a significant amount of effort or time that isn't quite as significant as a full action,
well, I
right?
will simply withdraw quickly away from the wounded wolf outside of its bite range and just raise my sword defensively. If
Okay,
it's
so
presuming it's
next,
perhaps distracted by being slashed or whatever.
So do you go next, or do I go next, dude?
You guys tied, and there was nothing to tie break it. So I'm gonna say the two wolves go next. So they are going to attempt to like claw at you. So 1 sec, let me just check the stats here. Okay, so we're rolling 2 yellows, 2 greens. Oh my. Okay, okay. So he did a total of 5 damage before soak to you, Shogun, as he sort of claws at you.
Before soak. But
Yep.
my armor gives me soak of 2, and doesn't my brawn also give me soak of 3?
Your brawn, you get a soak equal to your brawn, and you get a soak from what your armor is. So yeah,
Right.
what's
So
your
I
total?
soak 5. So if he did me 5 damage, I think I soak it all, right?
Yes, yes. So
All right.
he's sort of like he's sort of like um he sort of like clinks off your armor basically.
Right.
Uh, the other one is
But the
going
wolf
to
rolled 4 advantages.
yes, but yeah, sir. We're gonna yeah, but he couldn't get through the armor, right? So it's like it's not like he could injure him at all, right? He has enough for a crit, but he can't even get through the armor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the other one's gonna make the same thing, except this one's gonna try to bite you,
Okay.
and it just sort of barely doesn't judge the distance, right? And it misses you. Okay, next up is you, Hasafet.
Okay, so having heard the you know howling, gnashing of teeth, and the drawing and slashing of a blade, I'm going to rightly conclude that Hanzo is engaged. I'm going to point ominously at the dwarf and tell him to stay precisely still, and then I'm going to very calmly walk over to where Hanzo is combating the wolves, and I'm going to attempt to cast an attack, like a warp flame, at the wolf that is uninjured.
And you just mean like your normal attack, not your special, right?
Yeah, dude, just like hand with fire coming out of it, just normal
Okay.
shit.
So roll your magic skill against 2 purples.
So just to be clear, magic here is totally fluid. It's not like D&D where you have like a spell list that you prepare or whatever. It's like you can do.
No, this
Like,
this is a. I mean, I have a list of spells I'm allowed to do, and this is attack. So this is
It,
one of them.
it's like
gotcha.
it's not necessarily spells. It's like categories of spells. So he
Mm-hmm.
could do like a flame attack, but if he wanted to, if some you could
I
also
pressed
roll
the
it as
wrong
like
button.
yeah.
Okay.
Um.
I'll get it. Yeah.
I pressed
Got
the
it.
wrong button, and now it says initiative. What did I do?
Oh.
Okay, so I've rolled. So I got 4 successes and a threat.
Okay. What's your intelligence or your what was the characteristic of the skill?
Intellect is 4.
Okay, so you did 8 damage. Which one did you attack, the one on the left or the one on the right?
I attacked the undamaged one, which I guess would be on the left, right?
Okay, yeah. So you did 8 damage. So that minus 8 is okay. They're both looking pretty roughed up. But they still got some fight left in them. Back to the top of the order, Hanzo. It's your turn.
Well, I attempt to put them out of their misery. I'm assuming I can only strike one at a time or make one strike per turn, so I will attempt to kill the one that is closest to me. Um,
Okay.
yeah, by again slicing at its already injured neck.
Okay. Make an attack roll.
Okay, and again, that's going to be 2 yellow and 1 green against no difficulty, or against a
Just
difficulty of 2.
2 purple.
2 purple. Okay.
Do I detract 2 string, dude?
Yes.
So
Anytime you cast a spell, that's a roll. Go
if
ahead.
I am
2 string.
correct, this means I rolled 2 successes and 3 advantages. Is that correct?
Yes. What's the crit on your
The sword has a crit of 2.
and what's the damage?
It does a damage of 3.
Okay, so you did 5 damage, but you also crit. So I'm gonna roll a dice here. 1 sec, I have to hand it. Okay, so we're gonna roll a D100. I'm gonna roll a D100 for this. 44. So this thing,
I mean, it was already pretty
this
badly wounded, right?
this thing is not quite dead, but it
Jeez.
is not. It is knocked out. It's knocked over on its side, so it'll have to get up.
Poor
Uh,
thing.
yeah. So next off is their turn. So what the one you just knocked over is gonna do is it's gonna roll it's gonna roll do okay, it just barely manages to stand up, and that's gonna be its turn. And then the other one is going to try to defend its friend. So 2 yellow, 2 green. So it did 7 damage to you.
To who? To me?
Yeah, it
Okay.
swipes at you.
All right, and that's before or after I soak. And is
Before.
soak automatic? You don't have to roll for it.
You don't have to roll for soak.
Okay, so that means I take 2 damage, if I understand correctly.
Yes, yes.
So my wounds go from 13 to 11. Right?
Okay.
Wounds is my health.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. I'm at
So
11 health.
next up is Hanzo, or Hasafet, I mean.
All right, so one wolf fell on its side and then stood back up, and the other one has just attacked Hanzo.
Yeah.
So
It bit
hold
me.
on. So Hanzo's attacked the wolf on the right twice and crit it once, and it's still kicking.
Yes. Yeah.
It's tough.
And I've attacked the
a
wolf on the
dire wolf
left
of
once.
some kind.
The crit
Yeah,
that
so
the crit that he rolled was
no,
that it got knocked
I get
over.
it. I get it. Knocked over. I heard the whole thing. So the one on the left I've dealt 8 damage to already.
Yep.
So seeing that my flame attack did not completely kill this wolf on the left, I'm going to point my finger at its head and cast not, I guess, mind, right?
Okay.
And just try and like mentally debilitate the wolf instead of like burning it.
So you want to
So
make like a
mind control it or put it to sleep or what?
just not mind control it or put it to sleep. I'm just trying to like make it pass out or die or whatever by
so
using.
would you like to do this
So
as
I'm going to cast mind on divine instead of arcana.
okay, would you
Right?
like to make this as a curse roll or as an attack roll?
Oh yeah, so I guess we could do curse, right? Because I'm just trying to make this wolf like out of combat for the whole time we're going to be in this cave.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, roll against 2 purples.
Okay. So no rank points, 4 willpower. That's 4 successes and 2 threats.
Okay, yeah. So so describe to me like what like exactly how you're
So
going about.
my goal here was basically to make the wolf have like a crippling seizure or something.
Okay, okay. So you manage to accomplish that. The wolf gets knocked out, but you sort of in this connection to the wolf's mind, you sort of end up synchronized with it for a moment, and you take an additional 2 strain on top of the 2 strain that it was to cause the spell. So take 4 strain. But that wolf is not dead, but knocked out.
Okay. So he's out for the count, right? He's not just temporarily
Yeah,
stunned.
the one on the left is just had a seizure. He is unconscious.
One of them is bloody and barely standing, and the other one is having a seizure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now
The
it's
one
your
you've been attacking is technically alive, and the one I have been attacking is now seizing on the floor and out of combat.
I see.
so
Does the
yeah,
combat continue or?
Well, there's one still fighting. So back to the top of the order. It's your turn, Shogun.
I'm trying to put this thing out of its misery, so I'm gonna try and decapitate it at this point. If it's not yet off, I'll attack it one more time. So that gives me, I think, what was it again? 2 and 1. Yeah, 2 and 1 against a difficulty of 2. And I'm going to roll 1 success, 2
Oh, okay.
advantages, and I don't know what the circle
That's a
is. I think that's a
boon. It's like a critical success. It's a
critical
boon.
Yeah,
success. Yeah,
that's
so
it's like a nat 20. Shogun, how do you kill him?
well, I cut his head off cleanly.
Okay, his you like a hot knife through butter.
Straight up
You
decapitation.
you slice through his head, and it just it there's enough force that it sort of goes flying
Oh,
to the right a little bit, and
okay.
yeah,
And I
combat
also,
is over.
I take the head of the wolf and hold it upside down until it stops dripping blood, and then I put it in my hemp canvas backpack that I have in my inventory.
Okay,
Um,
note that down in your sheet that you have a
yeah,
wolf's head. Or
where's that
wolf.
go?
We'll call it wolf
There.
monster because you guys still haven't made an attempt to identify this thing.
We'll call it
An
wolf
attempt to do what?
monster head.
No one's attempted to do like a lore roll to see if they can identify this thing.
Right. But I've taken
Right.
the head of the creature that we killed. The other one is still alive, but having a seizure.
All right. So we're now out of this combat encounter thing.
Yes, yes.
But we should still
So
finish off this wolf if it's not dead.
I think it's fairly safe to assume that this thing on the floor is. So I guess my point is that if this thing on the floor is still breathing but it's completely incapacitated, I was going to roll lore on it prior to its death to try and figure out what it actually is now that we've taken them out of combat.
Okay. Roll against one purple.
Okay. That'll be a success and 3 advantages.
Okay, so yeah, this thing is called a Barghest. And they often travel in packs. They live in the woodlands and sort of misted areas. They tend to strike at night. They're sort of common around this area. Not like super common, but they're like one of the more deadly animals in this part of the world.
Um,
Necromancers often use them as like
I
as
see.
sort of attack forces.
Hold on. So point of order. The wizard called them wolves.
I'm looking at one now. They do kind of look like wolves, but they're substantially bigger and
Yeah,
different than wolves. Yeah.
but like I asked the wizard, I explicitly asked the wizard at the inn what kind of wildlife he encountered. He just called them wolves. So does the wizard just have no fucking clue what these things are, or did it just not tell me?
The wizard might have a whole backstory that you are unaware of that explains why he doesn't know what a Barghest is.
I mean, maybe he mistook them as wolves in panicked and just.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you the explanation
Okay.
if you. Yeah.
Never mind. I'm sure we'll get it when we come back to the guy with his damn fucking rock. So I'm going to, upon having deduced the rather boring and common nature of this creature that we've just expended effort in killing, I'm going to characteristically swear repeatedly in an unknown and alien language, as I'm wont to do. And then I'm going to carry another one of these balls of light and propose that we keep on walking to find, again, this fucking rock.
So we
Okay.
resume our search for the crystal that we've been sent here to find.
So, because this is a tutorial game, it's time to introduce you to the concept of a dungeon puzzle. Okay. As you guys enter this tunnel, you find yourself in what almost looks like, as strange as it sounds, it's like almost like a makeshift break room that's sort of been built into this mine. There's some sort of ramshackle boxes that have some cups on them and some stools, and
Mm-hmm.
there is what's sort of odd about this room is that it appears to be very clean for a room in a mine.
Okay. I would say we should just continue on unless there's something here like a
Oh,
chest or room or something that we can look at,
there
but
is a there is a, stone door, like a sort of magical or either mechanical or magical sort of contraption. Uh, that it's like you can deduce because you live in this world that it's one of those doors that sort of slides up or down either on a mechanical or magical
so you're
basis.
saying there's some kind of mechanical or magical door in the break room in the mine?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I kind of look at Asaphet, presuming that he might have more knowledge of this magical door than I might.
So do we know if it's magical, or are we just
Would you like to make a check?
no? We haven't discerned that yet. Is my point.
Yeah. It could
Like
be
when you
either.
say it's mechanical, like is there gears or cogs on it, or
Well,
how do you
no,
think?
we. So I presume we don't know any of that shit. It's a stone door. We don't know anything about it, right?
Based on like the common sense of living in this world, you can guess with relative certainty that it's either controlled by magical mechanisms or a mechanical mechanism.
Right.
But it
So it's one or
appears
the other.
simply as a stone door with no other features. It doesn't
Okay.
look like
So
anything else. Okay.
all right. So knowing that this is, like obviously an intentional construction that a lot of work and effort was put into, I'm gonna roll lore again and see if I can recall any information about similar constructions or how they work or why it might have been placed here.
What do you want to roll for that lore, or do you want to make like a magic check, or what are you trying? What skill did you want to
I'm
use?
still trying to roll lore here, guy.
Okay, yeah, um, yeah. Go ahead and roll the lore against a 2.
3 successes and an advantage.
Okay, so you know that oftentimes when there's a oftentimes basically door if you have something that you're trying to protect, right? Uh, that it's commonplace to sort of put this sort of a locking mechanism on on this like stone door, and there should be some sort of like a sort of mystical metaphorical key. So there's not like a keyhole or anything, but there's some sort of magical spell in this room that if you can find how to activate it, the door will open.
Okay, so those are my successes and my advantage right there.
You deduce through some kind of mystical insight that there's some sort of strange magical puzzle associated with this door that we must solve if we wish it to open.
Okay, there's an odd key, and that this door has valuable things behind it.
Do we have the key?
No, like it's a
Just,
metaphorical key. Apparently, it's like some sort of weird spell in the room.
but again, examining this door, what do we see? Just a flat piece of concrete metal or concrete stone, or is there any kind of carving?
It's like stone. Yeah, it's
It's
stone.
no indescript, nondescript, but there's a keyhole.
There's no keyhole. There's a sort of seal on the door that when a certain condition is met, that the
But
door
that's
will
an
open.
invisible seal that he can see magically, but it's not actually physically a seal on the door.
Well, he's not looking for it magically. He's like deducing based on his understanding of like how magic works
Right.
that
Mhm.
this is a common thing.
So I checked lore and am therefore aware of the concept of there being a magical lock, but I haven't actually
Mhm.
specifically perceived the
And this is
magical lock
just
on this door.
a clean break room and a mine shaft, so we don't really have any clues about what kind of key this might be. Um,
Well, no, I won't say anything. Let's see if
maybe
we can figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
maybe there is
Don't
some.
start asking for hints yet. We can solve this problem ourselves.
Yeah, okay.
Um, well, Hanzo, unless you have any further suggestions.
Aside from the unlikely event that we can somehow physically break it down, I have no suggestions.
Okay, so can I do another check here, dude missile?
Yes, what kind of check?
So, and correct me if I'm using this incorrectly, but um, I'd like to use it's probably a perception check to just try and see if there's anything particularly outstanding or out of place in the room that would be the ideal hiding place for this spell or key?
Yeah, go ahead, make a perception against a 2. 2 purples.
One advantage, no success.
You can't see any like hidden passageways or secret switches or anything like that. But as you're sort of looking around this room, you do find it odd that in the middle of like a coal mine or an iron mine or whatever, how clean this place is.
Very clean. We understand that much. Yeah, short of any
Okay.
other clues, I would suggest we continue on our quest for the thing, and maybe we'll find a key on the way.
But isn't the door literally in the way?
Is it? I was getting the impression we could continue down deeper into the mine, but on the side here was like a break room, very clean break room, and in that break room was a stone door. But that was not necessarily. I thought we could keep
I'm
going.
pretty sure I can solve this one.
Okay.
So I perceive that the room is strangely clean, and for some reason you've focused on informing me of that fact. So I'm going to just look around and see if there are any. So do I have to check perception again to see if there's like a broom or something that was used to clean this place?
I wouldn't say you have to make a check for it.
So I'm just going to look
Like, is
around
there
for the
anything else
thing
here? Any
the
details at
thing
all?
that was used to clean the room. Like, where
Yeah,
does the
so
cleanliness come
you
from?
find sort of a broom up against a corner of the wall, and as you sort of inspect the broom, you find that there's like a hole in the wall, uh, that like a hole at the floor at the floor. There's a hole in the wall that's about the size of like maybe a sort of a little bit bigger than a kitten.
A hole bigger than a
A hole
kitten.
slightly bigger than a kitten.
Yeah.
Um, okay.
Maybe jam
Um,
the broom in there. See what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. So I'm gonna pick up the broom and and just feel around in the hole with the broom.
So you sort of feel something. You sort of feel like some sort of almost liquid, like you can push through it, but it has some level of resistance. It seems almost like a slime or like a gelatinous sort of
It's
thing.
gelatinous wool. Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna push the broom further into the gelatinous. So for the record, I'm penetrating a gelatinous hole slightly larger than a kitten with a broom.
Or
Yes.
just after you've
Okay, so I'm just
pushed
gonna put
it.
this is typical D&D, everybody. So I'm gonna just push the broom further into the hole.
I would suggest
Okay.
we could pull it back out and examine the residue on the broom. If
Yeah. Never mind. I take it back. I'm gonna pull it out and examine the residue. Of the broom.
Okay. So it's a sort of green. As you look at it, it's sort of like a green slime. It appears to be magically animated. Uh, and
magically animated, does that mean it's like moving?
yeah. And
Okay.
I'm gonna tell the dwarf Gragnar to eat it.
okay. Oh, hang on. I can work with this. So he's like,
You feed
"Are
it to
you
Greg.
are you sure, boss?" Oh,
I
sorry. Can't
say
be too loud.
yes, I am sure that I want you to eat this slime.
Okay. So he sort of looks nervous, and he eats the slime, and it all seems okay for a moment, but then he sort of gets this look on his face. He's sort of like trying to keep it down, but he sort of pukes onto the floor. And at this point, um, out of the hole, a little slime cube comes over, and like a Roomba, it sort of cleans up the vomit. And as the slime is sort of doing this, the door opens.
Of
Yeah,
course,
I
the
knew it the
solution
minute
was
you
to
said there
give
was
the slime
slime on
to
the
the dwarf.
broom. I knew I was gonna have to take the fucking slime and spread it on the door. I fucking knew
Well,
it, man.
if now that you guys have solved the puzzle anyway, do you want to know what the actual reason that worked was?
If you want to tell us, I guess,
Okay.
but if we wouldn't know, then I would just say, "Don't tell us."
Okay. Okay.
I would, take the torch from, Ragnar and burn the little cube of slime that crawled out of the hole with it. It's
Okay. Yeah. It ignites, and you can hear almost like somewhere between something sizzling and something screaming, if you can imagine like a
So
combination.
you've lit like this strange rat slime cube on fire, and it's now screeching and burning to
Yeah.
death. Okay, so aside from the cruelty to non-Euclidean life forms, um, so I for one am curious because you seemed you were so proud of this puzzle. So why did
Oh,
it work?
it's not my puzzle, but I like it because it's sort of simple in a way. It's very simple, but it's also like it requires a little bit of lateral thinking. The seal on the door was basically connected to the fact that the room was clean, right? And so basically, if you had done anything to dirty up the room, the door would have opened, and that's sort of the puzzle here.
I was actually thinking about rubbing the blood from the Barghesi head on the door based
That
on
would have
all
worked.
the
That would have
but,
worked.
okay. Alright,
Yeah,
there you
see,
go.
or you know what we should have done is we should have just had Grognar take a big massive shit in the middle of the floor.
That would've worked too.
The
Um,
place where I got this puzzle from, that's how they solved this.
all
By
right,
a
It's
dwarf shitting? Okay.
so Shogun's gonna bring his, or Hanzo's gonna bring his torch into the passage behind the stone door, and I'm going to carry my ball of light in behind it.
Investigate, what's behind there.
so
Yep.
as you sort of
Investigating.
enter the door, you find like a small, a sort of medium-sized room. There's sort of a little pool of water that seems to have been sort of naturally formed because above the pool of water on the ceiling, there's almost like there's like a sort of uh tunnel that sort of leads to the outside, and there's sunlight pouring in that tunnel. So this room is illuminated a little bit by sort of natural sunlight, and you can deduce that rainwater has sort of collected in this small pool as time has passed on. And there is a sort of on the right side of the room, on the opposite side of this pool of water, there is a sort of like a little not quite a bed like a nest, but like a sort of humanoid shape, like a humanoid sized nest. And there's a collection of items. Um
Wait, there's a nest behind the door? A nest of what?
like a sort of bed made of hay,
There's
basically.
not like a bunch of
Okay,
eggs
so
or something, no?
I'm gonna inspect the pile of items.
Okay, you find a number of coins. Um about 50 silver coins in all. And you also find a strange set of boots.
Okay, I'm going to sweep up the silver coins and put half of them in a pouch and hand it to Hanzo. And then I'm going to roll, um, I guess, perception to try and figure out what the fuck is up with the boots.
Okay, roll against a 3 purple.
Oh god,
I
never
got
mind.
25 silver there, so what happened? Half of
Yeah,
50?
so there was 50 silver on the ground, so I picked it up and split it with
Thank
you.
you. I got 25 silver.
I've rolled a failure and a threat on perceiving the boots.
Okay, yeah, you can't deduce anything about these boots, and they confuse
Hmm.
you quite a bit.
Can you describe them though? Like, what do they look like?
They've sort of got they're sort of like a almost like worker boots. Like they've got
Mhm.
sort of a steel toe, but on the bottom of the boots is sort of a like rubbery green substance that sort of coats the sole.
A rubbery green substance, okay. And
Okay,
it's
so
that.
I am going to, despite the fact that Grognar works for Hanzo and not for me, I'm going to point at the dwarf and say, "Go and lick the sole of that boot."
I'm not, and why should I listen to you, good sir?
I'm gonna
I'm
suggest
going
you don't.
to.
Okay, go ahead.
Wait, you suggest what?
I was going to suggest you may not need to lick the sole of the boot, but perhaps you could try the boots on and see if they have any obvious enchanted properties or anything of that nature.
You made the dwarf eat the slime. I was
Yeah,
just
but I
gonna
was
go lick the
hoping
boot.
it might, give us some clues, like turn him into his
I,
zombie
I
or
got you.
give him magical powers or something.
I got you.
But
So we're gonna have Grognar try on the boots.
well, I was suggesting it may be, or one of us could, but they may be cursed
Well,
boots or
he should
something.
listen to you instead of me anyway. So he's gonna.
I'll give
I
him
guess
10 of my 50 silver if for eating the slime and also to try on the boots. If
Wait,
that's a
but
deal.
he got, but it was Hasafet who got the 50 silver.
Yeah, but he gave me
oh,
25 of
Ah,
them.
okay,
I got
okay,
the 50 silver. I gave you 25.
okay,
And
yeah.
in return, and by the way, how is he doing after eating the slime? He's okay now?
He threw up, but he's fine.
He's fine. Okay. All right. Yeah. So did you agree to test these boots, which are probably just normal boots, but may have some ancient curse for all we know? Gragnar, my friend.
Grognar.
And he says, wait, sorry, say that again.
Are you
He's just
Ragnar
Ragnar
willing
now.
to try on the boots?
He says, they don't look dangerous. I will try them on." And he sort of takes off his own boots, and he puts them on, and he's sort of stepping around in them, and he goes, "Oh, I see, I see." And then what he does is he's sort of testing out the boots, and you notice there's sort of like a sponginess to his legs. And what he does is hang on, and then what he does is he does like a sort of running start, and then he jumps, and then as he jumps, he lands on his boots. At which point he sort of bounces up and sort of hits his head on the ceiling, and sort of falls over.
I see.
Oh, they're like the slime boots. These are like the typical like boots of like bouncing or whatever, right?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Um,
Are you suggesting that the boots made him bounce higher than a normal person would be able to jump?
that is
I'm
the,
suggesting that the boots made his feet like the boots gave it an elastic operation. So like he jumped perfectly normally from a running start, but then the boots like actually caused him to bounce up in the air.
So do they enhance his jumping abilities?
I would say you can deduce that it's not so much that it enhances his jumping abilities as much as opposed to hitting the ground at full force with his legs, right? So say you had like a pit you wanted to go into, you could probably wear these boots and like jump down into the pit, and you could
Without
reasonably
breaking your legs?
yeah, yeah.
I see. Very
Okay,
well.
so we solved the dungeon puzzle, and we've got Grognar and some or Gragnar and some silly boots that make him bounce along the ground. And Hanzo and I got some change in our pockets.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, just real quick, I'm gonna look around and inspect the surroundings. Is there anything else going on in here?
It seems like something lives here.
How do
Okay.
we know that? Like,
There's a bed.
furniture, or is it like
Oh, because the
animal
hay
poo?
is like a nest or some
It's like a
kind.
yeah, it's like a bed made out of hay sort of thing.
Right, but you're saying it looks like an animal lives here.
Well, yeah, it's something something
It's not
humanoid
like a
seems to live
lamp and
here.
a bed. It's like a pile of hay that something's been sleeping in.
Yeah, yeah. But also deducing from the fact that there's like some money here, and there's some other little trinkets. There's these boots. Like
Mhm.
it seems that there's a humanoid thing living here.
I see. But no sign of the crystal we're searching for.
No.
It's probably back along the main path. Like it seems like we've accepted a sort of diversion by going through the puzzle here.
I see.
Bonus loot.
So yeah, bonus loot. So I'm gonna, just throw another blue ball of light over kind of around the other side of wherever we're at and just try and ping something in the head that might live here.
So say that last word again. You're trying to ping some. Trying to what?
Now I'm just gonna like upon noticing that this is probably the residence of some sort of being, I'm just going to conjure up like 3 or 4 small illuminating balls and just kind of toss them around the room.
Yeah, it. You don't really see anything you haven't already seen. It seems to be that there is some sort of creature that sort of hides here, potentially climbs in through the sort of skylight in the rock wall.
But it's not here now.
No.
So I propose we make our egress and return to the main path of the cave to find that damned
Indeed.
rock. The fucking
Forthwith. So we return the way we came and continue deeper into the mine, seeking further evidence of the crystal.
So yeah, you have 2 paths left. So which one do you want to take?
Well, why don't we send Gragnar on the right, and we'll go down the middle, and we'll rendezvous back here if either of us finds the crystal.
Ragnar is such like a red shirt in this whole thing.
What does red
Obviously.
shirt mean?
Red shirts is in Star Trek. You have the red shirts, and in basically every episode, a red shirt dies. Right? They always send the
Yeah,
red
so
shirts.
You don't have to kill him. You could stumble into a vast wealth and fortune for all we know.
yeah, but the red shirts from the engineering department are usually expendable in Star Trek. So the point is we're
Right.
treating him like he's slightly more expendable than either of us.
I mean, he could
Yeah.
stay with us, but we could be more efficient by splitting up.
So we're going to go down this middle path. Whether or not Gragnar's going down the other one, we're going down this middle path, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so you see a sort of large chasm as you sort of walk through this tunnel for a while, and then you see a large
Slide to
chasm,
play out.
and
He should
it's
stay with us. I'm just gonna say that now.
yeah. So you walk through the middle tunnel. You eventually arrive at sort of a large chasm in the rock, and there seems to be it seems to be like the spot of like a cave in or something, or some sort of structural loss, because there is the path continues after the chasm, and you can see off in the distance um a sort of iridescent light sort of projected on the back of the cave wall on the other side.
All right. So I am going to take like a baseball size light ball and just kind of toss it between us and the iridescent light on the other side of the chasm, just so that we can try and walk over there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So there's nothing in the way.
We could also
Okay,
just
so
potentially carry one of these light balls with us, couldn't we? And then we just always have light.
I mean, can we just do that? Like, I'm carrying the thing.
Yeah,
just always have
we don't have to state it every time.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just carrying that ball of light. Good. So we walk over to the iridescent thing, right? Or at least I do.
No, so sorry, let me explain better. There you guys are on one side of a chasm, and on the other side of the chasm is this iridescent light.
There's no way we can
Oh,
get to the iridescent light.
You could maybe jump and try to
Does
climb.
it look like something? How far does it look to be approximately?
Uh
Is it a small,
definitely
medium, or a large jump?
definitely a tough jump, but definitely doable by someone who at least goes for a run every week, right?
And can we throw a ball down or a torch to see how far this chasm goes down, so we would know how far we'd be falling if you failed?
You could drop your torch, but yeah, you could drop your torch.
I propose we drop Gragnar down it because he's got the bouncy boots.
Want to do
Well,
that?
you could also just throw one of your magical balls down there, and then we could see how far down it is and what's going on down there.
All right, so I'm just gonna, do that and illuminate the bottom of the chasm.
Okay, so it's not like directly die from the fall far, but it's like break your legs and have no way to get out and die alone in a cave far.
Right, and all we
Um,
see here is a
yeah.
chasm, and on the other side is some kind of illumination. There's no other way we can go other than across the chasm or back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. I'll take a running jump and see what's up, I guess. Might as well gamble my life on this idea.
Wait, hold on. Before Hanzo goes gambling his life, can I conjure a temporary bridge across the chasm?
Conjure. Yes, I think you could.
So I have barrier included in my class specialization, right?
Hmm.
Is that just for blocking?
Wouldn't
Do
that
I have
just be like
conjure?
a force field of sorts, though, rather than a
Yeah, I
bridge?
think we're more so thinking a
But,
conjure roll, which you could
yeah,
do
but
with
I
divine.
do have conjure, right?
I mean, this is where we get in sort of the weeds of like how would you define how these spells are like narratively defined before, but as opposed to how they're defined like mechanically. And I would
So
say,
I'm just trying to like hold my hand and like fully concentrate on creating like just enough force that Hanzo can like step on it and walk across the
I also
chasm
have a
instead of anybody
rope
having to like
if we
jump.
could, like, some kind of a grappling like situation, but I don't see how that would work, so.
uh,
Well,
yeah,
I do have
okay.
a rope. Is there anything I could tie the rope to? Is there anything around here I can tie a rope to? Like a
Yeah,
steady stalactite or something? Stalagmite?
there's like some like unlit torch stands on the walls.
Unlit torch stands. I'm looking for
Yeah.
Are
something
those going to be
like
like
solid
stable
that I
though?
can like that could sustain the weight of a human body, like
Um,
a pillar or a steady rock or something that I could tie a rope around.
there's like some stalagmites, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'd like to tie my rope that I have in my inventory. It says length of silk rope, which is strong. I'd like to tie that around there and throw it down uh, the chasm there, and then I would like to take a running jump and attempt to make to the illumination.
Okay, make an athletics against a 3.
Okay, I will stream again just in case anyone wants to watch, so I can understand. So athletics against a 3 means I have 2 yellows and 1 green. 1, 2, 1, and when you say against a 3, that means 3 purples, right?
Yeah, if I say against a number, that's
Mm,
generally going to be 3.
okay,
I will specify. Ooh,
okay.
ooh.
It's a success,
Okay.
right? A critical success?
Okay. So you make like a running start and you just like fly over that thing. And
Okay.
you not only do you fly over it, but you actually manage to get like a couple inches over the edge of the other side. And um you sort of land improperly though, and you twist your ankle a little bit, so take a strain of damage.
A
Or
sprain or
sorry, not no, a
damage?
wound. I meant a wound.
Okay, I'm down to 10 wounds because I have strained my ankle. But I have jumped across, so what do I see over here?
So you are closer to this iridescent light, and you can actually see something very similar to uh Hasafet's like ball of light. There's a sort of similar sort of illumination that's sort of
Mm.
illuminating uh ball, and then there's sort of these sort of there's sort of a fungal mass that is sort of that is sort of sitting on the other side of the ball, basically.
Is this like a small cave with, or is this look like there's like tunnels and other openings going further on, or is this just a confined space?
This looks like it was the main tunnel at one point, but at some point there was some sort of structural collapse that created the chasm. So presumably, uh, this would have been like the main mine tunnel that would have been continued to have been dug,
Right,
and they
but now
just
that I've
stopped.
jumped across to this other part here, is there more to explore in this side of the chasm, or is it just this area with the fungal mass and the glowing ball?
It's just a
Like,
dead end with the
okay,
fungal
it's a
mass
dead
and the
end.
glowing
There's no
ball.
reason for anyone else to come back here. So can I examine the fungal mass quickly?
Yes. So it is a sort of mushroom type fungus. So there's these mushrooms that are sort of growing on the moisture and
Okay.
nutrients in the cave wall.
I will take my wakizashi and cut the mushrooms and put them in my bag, in my backpack.
Okay, label that. Yeah, label that what you want, but make sure you label it something that's not just like mushroom. You gotta
I'll
specify
put
that it's the cave
cave
thing. Yeah,
mushrooms. Cave mushrooms.
yeah.
And then I'll put in brackets fungal. Well, yeah, fungal mass. Okay. And I would also like to examine this magical ball. Is it indeed just a ball of light, or is it something emitting light that is solid in nature?
So there's like a sort of magical illumination behind the ball, and that ball is shining into the crystal, and that sort of light is shining into the crystal that is sort of shining through this fungal mass, which is what is creating the iridescent pattern on the wall.
Wait, the crystal is here?
It would seem like it, yes.
Oh, well then I'll also take the crystal. How big is the crystal, and what does it look
Fits
like?
in. It's about the size of an apple.
And this is like, what color is it?
Oh, it's sort of a similarly sort of a like a gasoline type color, sort of iridescent, but mostly sort of purple.
A purple crystal. Okay. Well, I will put that also carefully in my bag, and then I will jump back across the chasm. Shall I roll for that as well?
Yeah, roll. I mean, yeah, I would say roll
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Okay. If I had to roll a jump there, I should have to roll a jump back. So that's gonna be two
Doesn't
yellows.
he have the rope though?
The
Well,
rope's on
I
the
put
rope's
the
on your
rope
side.
down in case I fell so that I could climb back out, but I didn't.
Can't I toss him the rope?
You could. You'd have
You
to
could
make an
pull it
athletics
up
check.
and throw it, uh, but anyways, I'm just gonna jump here. I'm pretty
Okay.
confident. So I got 4 successes there, I think.
Okay, yeah,
So I jump back across, right,
yeah, you clear it.
and I will reclaim my rope, and I will indicate to Hanso and hold out to him for his investigation the purple crystal, which I assume we have come here for. And I say, what do you
All
make of
right.
this? Do
So
you recognize this?
I'm going to reach out my hand and hold it. And then, as instructed, I'm going to place it on top of a small flat stone that I pick up from the floor of the cave. And then I'm going to hold a light in my hand, shine it through the crystal in the object, and attempt to look at Gragnar.
Okay, so as you look through Gregnar, behind Gregnar on the wall of the cave, there's sort of this orange sort of iridescence. So it's sort of progress. So as you sort of look at the color, like if you go sort of up and down on the color, it sort of progresses from orange into various shades of orange and even some red and yellow up and below the middle of this sort of light projection.
I didn't really make any sense of that. So I'm just like seeing colors through this thing.
Basically.
Okay. After having done so, is it clear to me that this is the rock that we came here for? Like an arcane tech crystal, whatever?
You can deduce that these colors probably mean something if you knew what to look for, and so you can assume that this is in fact the crystal ball.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to pronounce our success and propose that we turn to and leave the cave.
So we return back to the village and the wizard.
Yes. So you guys sort of make it to the edge of the village. It is now evening. The sun's still out, but it's starting to set. Uh, and we can just sort of just skip ahead to you guys in the inn. and you have you're giving this ball back to the guy, and he says, "Oh, thank you so much. Was it difficult? Did you run into any danger along the way?"
Nothing of.
Yes, I say.
Go ahead.
You may have misled us as to the danger of these wolves. We discovered, in fact, they were far more than that.
Yeah.
We had very little trouble upon the completion of that battle in retrieving your misplaced object.
And I guess I'll pull out the Barghesi head from my backpack to illustrate what he was saying about the wolves not being wolves.
And he says, looks quite a bit more dangerous than I really. I'm sort of glad I'm seeing this now and not then, because I might have lost my composure. And this looks like quite the beast.
Though perhaps we deserve a slightly higher compensation than initially negotiated.
And he looks at you, hesitant, and he says, like, who's this guy? I think wait, I saw you in the inn earlier, didn't I?
Yes, I
So
asked
I
him earlier about the other town.
I very calmly gesture to the samurai and say that this is Hanzo, who was instrumental in my success in retrieving your crystal. Strange wizard man.
And he
And
says, well, seeing as the job was more dangerous than initially communicated, and that you have enlisted the help of another, and that ended up being incredibly important to the success. How about I double the pay so you both can get a cutout of the initial offering? He's saying the initial. He's saying, like, he was offering you
I'll
100.
double it to
I'll
200.
give you. Yeah.
So prior to, so I plan on accepting that offer. But
Mhm.
before I do that, can I roll Forbidden to try and tap into like the Zinchian ability to analyze bullshit and see if I can understand anything about how this seer stone was made or like how it works, so I might be able to like do something similar in the future, or am I just wasting my time?
Yeah, you can do that.
Just
You can
right.
do that.
All right. So what's going to be the difficulty on that?
I would say probably 4, but maybe you could spend a story point to get another yellow.
When do we get story points back?
When I use them.
Did you already use one?
No, not yet. You guys haven't used one either. You have 2 right now.
I thought you used one in the fucking cave with the wolves, but whatever.
I didn't know how tough the wolves would be. I didn't want to kill you guys.
We doing 3 or 4?
How about 3 with a setback?
3 successes and 4 threats.
Okay. So you're sort of looking at this thing for a moment, and the mage sort of what you can deduce is that what this thing does is it works like it's described, right? Like I already said, but this sort of iridescent pattern is actually like sort of an interference pattern of sort of magical traits. And so from that, if you were to use this object, depending on how you could do like a magic roll to sort of read either I guess I would say like a lore, either a lore check or a magic check, whatever is more favorable. But depending on how well you rolled there, I could give you some like from the book information on this monster, basically.
All
But
right.
the threat is going to be that he sort of notices you staring at this item, like very intently, sort of seeming like almost like, well, what can I do with this? And he immediately sort of assertively sort of takes it out of your hand.
Okay. So we take the 200 silver. He takes his rock, and there you go.
Yeah.
Bang,
Okay.
bang, boom.
So I'm thinking maybe that would be a good place to stop if you guys, unless you guys really want to play more and try to get sort of some of that bandit stuff done. But that seems like a good. You guys did a whole quest there.
That's quest complete.
I'm happy with that. I will perhaps also show him the fungus and ask him if he knows anything about the cave fungus that we brought back.
He yeah. He looks at it and he just sort of laughs and he says, "Be careful with that one."
I'll ask him to elaborate. Is it poisonous? Is it edible? Does it have any value?
He says it is edible, but it is an awakened plant. It is an awakened fungus.
I assume it's some kind of psychedelic. I'll put that back in my bag. I will discard the Barghesi head somewhere. Now,
Just chuck it on the wall, the floor of the inn.
kind of
It's your
garbage
problem
or
now.
whatever.
Yeah.
Throw it outside in the trash. And great. Okay, thank you. So we'll call that a session then.
I'm gonna just
Right,
so you
so
know, because we had multiple players here this time, I'm gonna award you both 5 experience points. So
Okay.
make sure to mark make sure to mark both your total XP and available XP with an additional 5. And if you could, mark down somewhere on your sheet what your total XP was before, so we can count accurately
I
for
don't
your
see
ability point.
the XP spot on the page right
It's
I've
now.
on
also
the
put down my
Oh,
silver.
total XP, available XP. So for total XP, I add 5, so it goes to
yeah.
115.
What was it before though?
It was 110.
110. Mark 110 down somewhere so that we
No,
know that when you get to
total XP
160.
110, and then should I put available X10 115?
So so whatever. So okay, both of you, before you give yourself 5 XP, note somewhere what your initial total XP was so that we can count.
Starting XP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 110, but I don't know where
Okay.
I'm supposed to note that on the sheet
Um
other than total XP. I could put available XP 115.
No. So available XP is how much you have to spend. So what I would say, Shogun, is since your starting XP is never going to change, just make note of the fact that your starting XP was 110, and then on the
All
sheet
right,
you're going to
I'll
update that
just put
as your
that
XP
under
increases.
right here for now. That's fine. Okay, starting
w-
XP 110, and now my total XP goes up to 115. Got it.
so you should have 5. Oh wait, did you have any XP left after you were done character in available XP? Did you have any left? Because if not, it should just be 5.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I just erased it because I changed it,
So I
but
have
I'm pretty sure.
5 available and 115 total. My starting is 110. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the
Oh,
only
so
reason I'm
should I
asking
put
you guys
available
to
5?
yeah. So the only
Okay.
reason I'm asking you guys to note your available your starting XP is because for every 50 experience points you can upgrade your heroic ability. Um,
How many experience?
every 50 experience you
50.
gain
Okay.
additionally, not
All right.
including your starting XP, you get an ability point to upgrade your heroic ability.
Cool. Great. Thank you. So I got my character sheet saved, and we'll leave there.
So if you can end the recording, I would like to address you guys before you
Yes,
guys leave after though.
sure. We'll end the recording here. Good night, everybody.